Hello everyone, and welcome to Under the Rock, where old games feel like new! And today's review is going to be of Red Faction Guerrilla. Red Faction was a game that changed the way we looked at first-person shooters. Sorta, since it's the only real game system that still uses this kind of engine that they did, which was the fact that the entire environment was destructible. The floor, the ceiling, the walls, everything was destroyable. And this allowed for such great combat tactics and map navigations throughout the game. My personal favorite was setting charges along the ceiling, blowing it up, and having all the rocks crush down on my opponents. It was so wonderful, I never got tired of it. Or blasting a hole through one wall, and then sneaking around and popping out a completely different direction from where the hallway actually went. Always a fun piece for me. And after this game, they created a sequel, and then they created Red Faction Guerrilla, which I guess is Red Faction 3, but since they haven't given it the number 3, I guess they can still use that title if they want to. And this game takes place about 50 years or so since the last game. At least I think it does. They really don't tell you how long it's been since the last game, but that's what I've gathered so far from it. And what has happened is the planet Mars is now under EDF control, and this has caused much resentments among the populace because the EDF has seemed to have placed the planet under martial law. Anyone who steps out of line is shot on sight. You play as Alec Mason, who went to Mars for a new life with his brother, but now has joined the newly reformed Red Faction after the death of his brother by the EDF. The game as a whole is alright. It's not as good as the first two, because mainly one of the things that griped me was the fact that they switched from first person to third person. And though it doesn't hinder the gameplay at all, it does make shooting a little bit more complicated, at least for me, but it's not entirely impossible. It's just a new thing you have to get used to after a while, which can get annoying for those who are very used to the last two games. But what got my goat even more than the fact that it's a third-person game over a first-person game is the fact that only man-made objects are destructible. You can't destroy any of the natural environment on the planet. It's just whatever was built by man. So it kind of was really griping in a lot of missions where I was sitting there going, I just wish I could plant a charge here and blow it up and just have rocks tumble onto my target so I don't have to get in trouble. Especially since they kind of encourage you to fight guerrilla warfare tactics, and that I think was a pretty big guerrilla warfare tactic, is to just, you know, get it where you get your goal without getting in harm's way. But I guess you could understand it with the fact that maybe it required too much requirements for PCs to actually run the game, which on that note, you know, fair deal, I can forgive them for that. And in terms of game setup, it's pretty nice. You got a open world setup where you have to perform certain tasks in different areas of the map, and you do these tasks in order to reduce the EDF's control of the area. Once control is reduced enough, you unlock a story mission which progresses the story, and there's usually between 3 and 2 of these missions in a world. Usually one to introduce you to the new area, middle one to get you, still, focused on the story, and then the third one to kind of close out the area to clear it completely for the rest of the game. And this was actually a really clever setup. It allowed you to play the game as you see fit. You could go to areas and help the Red Faction fend off EDF troopers, intercept messages that were going across fields. You can intercept convoys and destroy them so they don't provide weapons for the EDF. You can just blow up buildings for all you want. It's wonderful. You can play this game in any way, shape, or form, and it does allow, if you want to play it again, a different game experience each time, since you can play different missions that you ignored the first time. But one of the biggest problems in this game has to be the inventory. You can only hold 3 weapons at a time, and your ammo is extremely limited. There's almost no mission in the game where you will not run out of ammo. Luckily, they do counter this by giving you the option of running away and finishing the mission later. It saves your progress, so you don't have to go back and restart it. But you can only get restocked at certain drop points, little crates that you could just open up and get limited ammo refill, and at Red Faction base camps, which may end up being a trek and a half depending on where the mission you selected is according to where the base is located. But thankfully in this game, the guards do not outright attack you, and you're always indicated on the alert status of the EDF. If it's green, they won't pay attention to you at all, just going about your day. If it's yellow, they're going to be on the lookout, and if you attack them or do something really weird or suspicious, they're going to shoot at you, but mostly they need to wait for an act of aggression upon them. And then there's red, where they'll just kill anything that moves. And thankfully what you can do is, if you want to be more guerrilla-ish about it, you can do something, run away, not do a thing, just hide, stay out of sight, and wait for the stats to go down back to green, and then you can perform your task as you were going. Granted, though, you can't just walk into a military base. They're going to get suspicious right away of that, but, you have that indicator to help you out with what you're going to do. And if your morale gets high enough in an area, the NPCs of the populace will start helping you out in missions. But granted, though, they're very useless. I've never seen them really kill a guy or do anything but just get killed. Usually I tend to just use them there to human shields while I ran away and healed. So yeah, if you get the little indicator that says Red Faction dudes came to help you, don't expect any good help from them. You're probably still gonna die if you're in that situation. But it's nice to have the human shields out there while you're running away for them to die for your cause for you. Now, the weapons in this game are upgradable, allowing you to hold and use more ammo on the gun, do more damage, or get special abilities. And any weapon you pick up and use is added to your inventory at the Red Faction base. But once you pick up a certain plot point weapon, you'll most likely be using that as your main, and pick 2 other snidey guns in case you run out of ammo in the plot point weapon. But it's still really nice, the fact that you don't have to do any special crazy thing. It's just pick up, it's added to your inventory, which is great. It does save you a lot of time, and is great if you find a gun that you really, really like. You don't have to do anything, it's yours. You've got it there for all time. And the way upgrading works is you need to collect salvage. Salvage is then used to help develop weapons, upgrades, ammo, and the best part is, almost all man-made objects produce salvage when you destroy them. And completing certain tasks and certain missions will reward you with it as well. Getting this stuff, not that hard to do. Sometimes it does require you to do a little bit of farming, but in the long run, not the hardest part of the game, and it will not extend the length of the game because you're trying to sit there to upgrade your weaponry, which is a major plus. The story is pretty solid, having a nice beginning, middle, and end with a very satisfying conclusion, though some of the plot points can be called very easy in the game, and some story issues are resolved via cutscene over you actually doing anything. It's still a gripping story, but it can feel repetitive. Mainly because it's the same story with a different villain. I mean, how many times can Mars get its freedom just to get pissed off again? Seriously, why don't they just secede from Earth and be over with it? Probably have a lot more happier times than going, help Earth, oh you people stink, we're gonna go help Earth people, get it, oh you people stink. I mean, come on, clearly you're never gonna be happy with any of Earth's governments. It took you 3 games to figure that out! But, despite this fact, it's still a very enjoyable and intuitive story that really grips you from the beginning and makes you want to really you feel for the character, and you want him to succeed, and you do want the Red Faction to succeed as well, especially with everything that's going on in the story. It is well done, just overused at this point. Another issue with this game is the vehicles. Driving vehicles is very difficult. I found the controls to be a bit clunky, making it hard to not crash into objects or cars, and it was very easy to launch these cars into the air and have them flip over and forcing you to get out on foot. Granted, it's Mars, so gravity, issues, props for them, but there were times where I was like swerving and it was just really hard to control, and sometimes when I was not trying to get any attention, I'd end up crashing into an EDF car, and then I'd have to start dodging bullets and waste all my ammo because I pissed them off because I crashed into them. This is probably one of the biggest gripes with the game, is just how clunky the vehicle controls were. And one thing to note is, if you're like me and you try to get as many years as possible out of your PC, you may want to purchase the console version of this game, because this game asks for a lot out of your PC, which may cause your PC to lag up quite a bit while during the game, unless you reduce all the settings down to their lowest like I did, but then you really are missing out with what the game really can offer you visually wise. But if your PC can handle it, then there's no question about it, this game is much better on the PC than the consoles itself. Now, you may be asking yourself, if my PC is so old, why'd I even bother buying the PC version? Well, I feel if a game first came out on the PC, then I should continue to play the game series on the PC only. No other reason. Overall, though, I will give this game a solid
3 out of 5.
This game is fun, but because of the inventory issues with ammo, how useless, completely useless, the NPCs were in combat, the lack of destructible environments, the poor vehicle controls, and the reused story plot on top of the predictable story elements within it, I just can't give this game a perfect score. I do give this game credit for taking a new direction, and it does have me excited for the new Red Faction game, which I can't wait for to come out, but I'm probably going to have to hold off until I can get the computer up and running to modern day standards. But I do hope that they improve upon some of the shortcomings that this game introduced. This game still can be bought at Target, Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop, Steam, and it's definitely worth trying out. Even if you haven't played the last 2 games, the story isn't one of those where you have to have played the old games in order to understand the new one, but if you did, it just makes the game that much more enjoyable. But like I said, if you're like me, and your PC is a dinosaur, definitely pick this up on the PlayStation or Xbox 360. Unless you can get the good deal that I did on Red Faction for the PC. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time under the rock.